We keep waiting for Brandon Aiyuk to possibly get traded. We keep hearing about how much the 49ers want to trade Brandon Aiyuk. Adam Schefter was just talking about this on his podcast. Here's what Schefter said about Aiyuk.
There has not been a whole lot of interest from teams because of the price and because of the injury concerns, because nobody wants to take on the contract when you don't know when the guy is going to be healthy again this season. But from what I understand, Dr. Neil Elitrosh is pleased with his progress. He's coming along. I would think he's ready to play by mid-season. And there might be a team out there that is willing to basically not give up very much to get a great player who's coming off the injury.
So clearly, again, Schefter says you wouldn't have to give up much. Like the Niners are telling people, they are screaming at people to come and get this guy. But I thought that was really interesting, Michelle, because a couple of weeks ago, Matt Barrows said, well, I don't know that we're going to trade. We'll see an Aiyuk trade because he's got to check in with his doctor and see how his knee is. And that might not happen before April 1st. Schefter just confirmed it. That check-in happened with Dr. Neil Elitrosh. Of course it happened because they're trying to trade him before they pay the bonus money. But again, it's the Niners telling people, please come get this guy. We are done.
I think if this happens, then we need to all petition for Jed York to sell the team. Because clearly he just doesn't have the cash, right, to do it. Like he bought another team in soccer or whatever, right? Soccer.
Yes.
And clearly he overspent and he doesn't have the cash to give these guys, because if you're going to just trade Aiyuk just to trade him, like if you can get an early second round pick or somehow a first round pick, yeah, of course you do that, right? Because you have the injury, you have the worries about the injuries. They probably should have traded for a first round pick before he was even injured, because I think it would have been worth it. But now, if you're going to just trade him away just to trade him away because you don't want to pay the $20 million bonus when you have a huge wide receiver need, just because you don't want to wait for him to be healthy, like you wanted to pay him last year, but all of a sudden you don't want to pay him. Well, they didn't want to pay him, but like they did pay him, right? Mm-hmm. So you got to at least see how he is when he comes back healthy. And you can't just trade him away for nothing because you don't have your $20 million that you don't want to spend. Like, that's just really, really, really bad ownership if this is what happens.
And I mean, Schefter went on to say literally, like, you would not have to, he said, the exact quote was, you won't have to give up anything at all to trade for Brandon Aiyuk. He said that he gave the two at alls, Michelle. He's telling you the Niners are trading him. That's why I continue to say that he is going to get dealt before April 1st, simply because Jed doesn't want to pay that money. And the owners' meetings take place on Sunday. So they have the league meetings in Florida. All the coaches are there. All the GMs are there. Remember, that's the picture that comes out with the coaches every year, and everybody makes fun of that. That's the meeting that's going to happen on Sunday. They're all there. And I bet you John Lynch's marching orders going into that meeting are, I don't care what you get. I don't care who it goes to, but you are trading Brandon Aiyuk in Florida at these meetings because we're not paying that bonus.
Then, like, what is the hope then for this team? Because they're being so incredibly cheap this offseason. They've added nobody. Like, literally, it's not even like they're just trying to like find good values in free agency and they're not overspending for the top guys, which I would have been completely fine with, because I don't think overspending in free agency is the way to win. But you need to add good value players, and they've added nobody of worth besides maybe Demarcus Robinson, which is very sad. And like that's our prime pickup right now. They're being that cheap, and then they're going to trade away their wide receiver one for absolutely nothing when they could have got a first round pick for him last year. And all because, you know, they're going to be impatient about the injury, I guess. And then also it doesn't even come down to the injury. I don't think it just is the money. And It's just Jed York. I don't think has it at this moment. Like, is it liquefied? That's my question. Like, I think he's run through all of his liquefied money and he doesn't have it.
I think he has it. I think he can get it. If he doesn't have it liquid right now, I don't think he wants to. I literally don't think he wants to do it. He always looks for reasons to save money, and they're going to do it. And so when you ask where they're going to get these players from, Michelle, the draft is the answer, because those are cost-controlled players. They have more picks than anybody this year right now, 11 picks in the draft. That is the answer to this question. It's why this draft is so incredibly important. I know it's important every year, but this is like, if your owner is showing you that he's not willing to spend money, then damn, you got to hit it. You have to hit. I mean, they got to get, 4-5 players out of this thing.
I mean, trading away Brandon Aiyuk just means they have to draft a wide receiver early.
Yep.
I mean, you can't just go into it with Ricky Pearsall and Juwan Jennings.
Your boy, your favorite.
And I mean, Pearsall maybe takes a huge step forward and we're great, right? And it's all fine and dandy, and you still have George Kittle. So I guess it's not the worst situation ever. And then Christian McCaffrey comes back for those targets as well. But I will say, like, looking at Brandon Aiyuk's, we know like he wasn't great before the injury, right? He wasn't putting up great numbers. It was some drops and stuff like that. They weren't really on the same page, Brock Purdy and Aiyuk. But I did look deeper into Aiyuk on and off the field last year. And when the overall numbers for Brock Purdy aren't that drastic with him on and off the field. One thing that really stood out to me, the air yards per attempt with him on the field, Aiyuk on the field, 10.1 air yards per attempt. With him off the field, 7.8. So massively different offense with Aiyuk on and off the field. Very much shorter offense. So then I went into the downfield pass attempts, the 10 plus air yards, to see the difference in Brock Purdy. And that's where it really shows up. So like, obviously Purdy can still hit those short little throws without Aiyuk, and he can get his numbers that way. But the downfield pass attempts with Aiyuk on the field, Purdy had 112 passer rating on downfield pass attempts last year. With him off the field last year, 90. So it dropped by 22 points, his passer rating. His touchdown to interception rate was 6-3, 6 touchdowns to 3 interceptions with him on the field, 3 touchdowns to 4 interceptions downfield with him off the field. The separation rate was much lower with him off the field. The tight window throws, the percentage of tight window throws that Purdy had to throw downfield went up significantly with Aiyuk off the field. It was 24% with him on the field. 33% of the time it was a tight window throw down the field without Aiyuk. So that's where we saw the impact of Aiyuk not being there. And I mean, I just wouldn't give up on him yet.
And that, by the way, is when everyone, with Aiyuk not at his best, right? When he was still working his way into shape. Everybody says, oh, he sucked last year. He was terrible. Those are the numbers just from last year when people said he wasn't even at his best. So imagine the improvement that would be there if he was at his best. Again, Adam Schefter said in that clip that we played that he's not expected back till around midseason. He tore his ACL and his MCL in week 7 last year. So, that's about a year is generally what it is. Realistically, he's probably not going to be, his old self until 2026, unfortunately, just given the nature of the injury and the recovery. But there is a clear need for him on this team next year and beyond. There was actually a clip of Brock Purdy. I didn't grab it. He was talking about Ricky Pearsall, and he was like, apparently in practice, Ricky Pearsall is up in Brock's face telling him like, hey, you can trust me here. I'm going to take 3 steps in this route. I'm going to stop. I'm going to turn it, and you could throw it to me, and don't worry about it. Like, he is apparently like all about like, the details and the nitty gritty of the game. And Brock was like, it drives me crazy, but I love it because that's exactly what I want. But I'm not going to lie. Like, I heard that and I'm looking for reasons to be excited about Ricky Pearsall. And I was like, all right, check. I'll just file that one away.
That's a check. I mean, you got to love that. You love that so much. And then also like, this is why they need the Brock Purdy deal done though, too, because if maybe Purdy's willing to go do the, practices and throws and all that with his playmakers before the contract, but most likely not, right? So get this contract done because they really need to work on this connection. They didn't have the summer last year. They didn't have half of the year last year. They need to really build this chemistry between the two, especially if Pearsall's going to be the wide receiver 1, either way, right? If they trade Aiyuk or not, at least for the first half of the season, he should be the wide receiver 1. He should be able to take over Juwan Jennings' role, right, as the top target. So they need to be working on this chemistry. And longer they take to get this Purdy deal done, the less time they have to do that.